All right, late edition Pocket Change Market Report. It's Sunday. However, this is all market activity from Saturday going into the later stages of Friday. So 24 hours, about 12 hours ago, somewhere around there. Yeah, I worked on this late last night. We have a pretty big birthday event for a certain young one in the household. So I didn't have the opportunity to do the report on my normal scheduled Saturday, and it hasn't been like that for the last few weeks since the ANA show, and I do apologize. But we are back. We are back again. I guess better late than never. I don't know how many times I could say that, each and every single week. But we're going to get back into the rhythm here. And in addition, due to popular demand, we're also going to be integrating like roll hunts and strap searching as well to get you guys all geared up for what is going to be a busy holiday season of numismatics. All right, as it is every year. So thank you guys for tuning in. Again, if you're new and unfamiliar with the Pocket Change Market Report, we actually deep dive about 24 hours of market data on a lot of the coins that you could find either in circulation or some of the coins that people have cherry-picked at local coin shops and shows. Keeping in mind that coin shop owners and dealers, they typically don't care about varieties and errors. So depending on who you talk to, they'll allow you to have your way with their inventory. If you're able to find something, then you can certainly add something really awesome to your collection for a much cheaper price. Or you could resell it, okay, which is what a lot of people love doing because the prospects are there to make a great kind of second income through all of this. I myself included, I've been doing it for ever since the beginning of eBay days, late 90s, early 2000s. I've been selling BU rolls. I've been, finding some of these other errors and varieties, and it's worked out really well for myself and my family. So again, that's kind of another opportunity. Is the market flooded right now? No, not necessarily. I think we're in a good space with the market right now. It's still very robust, and I'm excited for what we're going to see here to cap things off in 2023. A few other ground rules that you guys need to know about. I don't talk about graded coins. Obviously, that's a very expensive thing to add to a lot of these, and most of the time it's unnecessary. And the second point, the images are all original to each respective listing. I didn't juice or doctor any of the photos other than to crop them so they fit on this particular video. And that's it. So you're going to get the best and the worst, and it'll give you an idea of what that kind of low bar is set in order to sell some of your coins. Because coin photography is a little bit challenging, but it doesn't have to necessarily consume 100% of your efforts when you're going to sell. All right, a lot of this can be easily done through the use of just your smartphone. So yeah, you might even get a little photography lesson today. You just never know. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into the major listings and realized sales for the last day or two. We're going to start things off here with kind of a wild card here. Man, I had no idea that people would covet this kind of coin. Everything about it just screams minor. It does, but the price isn't necessarily indicative of that. If there's enough stuff on a coin, obviously it's going to have some sort of snowball effect in the market where it's going to eventually reach a number of people that really truly collect these, and they're looking for better condition coins. So we have a 1955S Lincoln Wheat Cent. Don't let the S mint mark fool you. It's actually a very available, very common date of this particular coin. But the seller had promoted and pitched die cracks and die chips galore all across the coin. Starting out with the date, you can see all the little die chips in there, pieces of the die just crumbling off just due to wear and tear. Over there in the base of Lincoln's bust, you can see a nice sizable die crack that goes through his jacket. And then our good old cracked skull die cracks, you can see it going through the hairline of Mr. Lincoln as well. So there's a lot of different areas on the coin that certainly draw your eye. It's kind of a a feast for the eyes if you're into die cracks and die chips and, all sorts of like die wear type of anomalies. So, yeah, get this. This one ended up selling for $32. And it wasn't the buy it now listing. This was actually organically bid up. 10 bids altogether got it to $32. So that's a pretty phenomenal amount of money. Again, I think because of everything going on and the high grade of this coin, it simply is just the best mix. Now, if we had found a coin like this, say in circulated XF condition, the coin is probably worth a few bucks. But again, I think the lack of high grade specimens out in the market today really kind of threw this one, into the coin news world. And, it's a little bit of a sleeper in the news world until I talk about it. So if you do come across something like this, keep in mind they do have a tremendous amount of value. This is a really good looking one here as well. Now it's a Lincoln Memorial Cent. There's actually a readable date, 1976. And to some people, it's going to appear like it was a strike through of some sort. And it is. It's just not what you think it is. It's not, a strike through major grease event, that stuff, although it does look like that. This was a coin actually that was struck through a very late stage cap die. All right, late enough stage to where the cap die is actually razor thin. Some of the original die devices have struck through the cap and onto the host coin, as you can see here. There's even a little remnants of some brockage on there, albeit a little bit distorted. But really just a neat coin. This one sold for $64.85, another big sale. And these are traditionally very easy, solid sellers on today's coin market. Wow, this is a really good looking example here. This is a 2004D Wisconsin Statehood Quarter. This one shows the low leaf variety, as you can see right here in the corn, the ear of corn right here, which is not supposed to be there. So there's two different variants that are quite scarce that were released, the low leaf and the high leaf. And you can find either or even today. This one looks like it's been preserved for a while because of just the condition. The condition is a really nice, kind of like generic, brilliant, uncirculated type of grade, maybe a 63. But this is indeed a still very liquid type of variety. It's in the Cherry Picker's Guide. This one ended up selling for $93.95, and that's with 28 bids. Graded examples, especially along these lines, they're worth about what this one sold for. Maybe just a little bit more, but not too much more. So these are being found traditionally in the southern central region of the U.S. where these things were distributed. So like Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas. These three states right here saw quite a few of these back when they were released. And oh boy, man, probably as simple as this new American Women Quarter is, it's actually quite complex. So enter the Jovita Idar American Women Quarter. It's the fourth release for 2023. And a lot of the relevant stuff is actually on her blouse right there. Okay, you can see United States of America, E Pluribus Unum. It is really just knotted up with all sorts of verbiage in there, and it's amazing. It's simplicity and complex all built into one. But with that kind of complexity, you better believe there's going to be some crazy stuff happening, from die chips, die breaks. Well, someone found the first ever notable error on this coin, and it is not exactly what you guys think. That's the interesting part. So up close to her blouse area with all of this stuff on there. Yeah, see that raised line that actually goes right through Jovita's name? That's actually a die gouge. It's raised off the coin. So on the die, it's an impression. I guess you could either call it a die gouge. It might even be a die dent. I'm probably leaning more towards a gouge, just a deep scratch that's on that area there. But wow. I mean, what would you call something like this? Would it be the canceled Jovita error or something? I don't know. But this is not a minor event by any stretch. And considering it's probably on one of the more intriguing quarter releases for the year, I'd say that this one has like undertones of being like a real winner. And yeah, this thing is just really crazy. So let's get the actual price of what this coin sold for. $30.25 with 3 bids. I think there were a lot of people still a little bit sleepy when they saw this come around and probably thought differently of it. But this is actually a phenomenal looking event right here. Right now it's an error, but if more of these are being found, it could eventually turn into a variety, kind of like the speared buffalo of 2005. So you just never know. I would say keep a healthy, close eye on these. And I believe it's a Philadelphia mint coin. The seller did not make it 100% clear what the mint was on this. And there wasn't even a full obverse photo. So, yeah. Strike one in the photography department. Always do both sides of the coin. That's very important, and buyers will appreciate that. Sellers should 100% do it anyways. So, yeah, pretty awesome, phenomenal. $30 price tag so far. Will we see any more? Keep your eyes out. Next coin that we have here, 1935 Lincoln Wheat Cent. You know, it's just an average circulated coin. Has a value of about 3 to 5 cents. But what do we have on this one that's worth mentioning? How about a little bit of a pre-cut or a retained die crack or break is what we see here. Now, it looks more just like a die crack because I don't see too much displacement or shift in the design details before and after the crack. So, I don't know. It's really up to interpretation, but I would imagine that there's probably a later die state where that piece of die had fallen out to develop a cud, because I've seen a lot of cuds in this area of the obverse of Lincoln's bust. So this one sold for $16.49 with 3 bids. Very collectible. They're easy to sell because people are looking to put together progression sets of these things, and this is one of them. Now, just insane. This is a wild error. So 1999 $1 bill with an inverted overprint. And because of the inverted overprint, there's going to be a sheet shift and then a miscut. All right, they kind of all go hand in hand. I don't see too many non-sheet shift examples with the inverted overprint. This one is just lights out. A little bit of a stain on the top corner. On the reverse, you can see a top left corner there of that note. But in any event, just a really good sale here, $309.98. Pretty big currency error, one of the most desirable today. Here's another one right here. Again, folks, make sure you're doing full images of both sides of the coin or piece of paper money that you're displaying. The seller only managed to do, and I would say it's the most relevant, the close-up of that gutter fold there on the left side of the note. Full reverse photo. I mean, they nailed that one to a T. But we do know it's a gutter fold. But what if there's like writing or other issues on the front of the note that is not aware? We would want to know that, right? We don't want to receive this note and come to find out someone wrote 35 in the margin to the right of the note. So yeah, that's important. You don't want to cause a return on some technicality. So, but this one sold for $37.98 with 13 bids. Again, a very nice error. Kind of like on the lower end of the spectrum as far as paper money errors is concerned. Here's just a really nice 1994 P Jefferson nickel. It's off center a little bit, like 7-8%, nothing too crazy. $16.10. So this one might slot into a date set. Here's a 1993 $1 Fed Reserve note. You'll see that this one has a partial back-to-front wet ink transfer, as indicated there on the top left corner of the note. So either the sheet had a tear where it left a little bit of ink impression on the cylinder, and it transferred onto the next corresponding sheet, which it did here. So the note is in really nice shape. I would say crackling fresh, and when you hear me say that, generally it's crisp uncirculated. This one sold for $131.85 with 7 bids. 1991 P Roosevelt dime this time around, off center, this time by about, well, I don't know, 15-20%, somewhere around there. Quite dramatic, and yes, there are date collectors that even Roosevelt dime off-center struck coins. This one ended up hammering for $23.38. Here's a nice little straight clip on a 1965 Washington quarter, and it's legit. So it's got the proto rim that is going all the way to the clip, and it kind of dissolves from there. On the reverse, you can see just a pretty nice, strong Blakesley effect. All right, as noted by quarter on the reverse. Yeah, you don't see straight clips too often. I think they're more neater than a regular sheet or curve clip. This one ended up selling for $9.29 with 5 bids. Yeah, I would say that's pretty much a bargain on this one, and the coin is in great shape. And for all you roll hunters out there, if you come across these, pull them out. They're worth as much as the silver that you strive to look for in those boxes. 1996p Candy half dollar. Obverse struck through a ton of grease. A lot of grease. The coin has issues. It's circulated. It's got a pretty deep scratch there right on Kennedy's bust. Not the best look, but in any event, still a keeper. How about $10.80 with 3 bids? That is about the price of a 90% half, so it's as good as silver. And a really neat one here, 1982 D Roosevelt dime. Definitely a strike through as evidenced on the obverse, but this is a struck through disintegrated die cap. All right, so the die cap is well along its usefulness and stage. You know, at this point, it's began to crumble and tear and all sorts of stuff. This is a strike through of a remnant of a die cap. So this one right here ended up selling for $47.38. A really awesome price here on this one. Where, you know, that's kind of like the typical sales price that we see on full earlier die state cap die strike throughs. So pretty wild one. And this same seller had actually sold a few similar strike throughs of this type. I think there was another dime and possibly a Lincoln cent. And one of my favorites, and these things come up, you know, once, twice a month, and it's always welcome just to kind of show you guys that this is the possibility of what you can find with enough diligent searching. 1970 D, and this is traditionally the date that you're going to keep an eye out for. That's where you normally see this. Washington quarter that was actually struck on dime thickness stock. So dime thickness, a lot thinner than what Washington quarter stock is. All right, so comparatively different thicknesses. You can see a lot of the weakness in the strike, and that's understandable because the mid presses are calibrated pressure-wise to the actual thickness of the planchets. So if the planchet's going to be thinner or whatever, then you're going to get obvious weakness there. All right, so when we look at a regular quarter on quarter stock thickness and a quarter struck on dime stock thickness, quite a bit thinner, as evidenced by the side-by-side photo. And of course, your coin is going to be about a gram and a half or so lighter in weight. This one weighs 4.2 grams. Doing the weight is always imperative on something like this to help showcase and illustrate the error in question. Now, again, you don't need to grade these because they all have kind of like this ceiling. This one right here, very well circulated, still sold for $78.88. A really awesome error, and one that, ladies and gentlemen, if you come across a coin that's like a lot thinner, you might have something like this. And there are a few other dates reported in the Washington quarter series to be struck on dime thickness stock. I believe 71D is another one, and then maybe 72D. So they're all early 70s. Be on the lookout. Oh, everybody's favorite big find of 2021. These don't show up as much anymore, and especially the high graded specimens have been off the market for probably 6 to 12 months. So we're kind of left with what ends up being found out of circulation. Now this 2021, which has a pretty significant retained cut die break, along with that interior die break, as you can see there right under Lincoln's bow, was the big one. These things sold for nearly as high as $1,000, back in the day. Ungraded, might I add. This particular piece right here, you can tell has some circulation wear, a few scratches in the fields. This one still managed to pull in $239 as a buy it now grab. Again, there aren't too many of these out there, my friends. If you do come across them and they're still in decent shape like this one, it's still going to be a really good payday for you. And here's a good one, albeit very available. You can still find these in circulation, but it's a 2019 Philadelphia minted Lincoln Shield with a really nice doubled die obverse. This is actually WDDO number 11. It's a best of variety in the Wexler files. And you can see just amazing thickness and stretching in not only the date, but Liberty as well, and to a lesser degree, the motto. So that cat eye 0 is unmistakable in the date. That's one of the big things to look out for. This one sold for $15. So very available. You can still make a little bit of money. Lower graded specimens tend to sell for under $10 pretty routinely. But just something to keep in mind that these are out there. 1883 Liberty V nickel, pretty cool one here, and really a nice shape. I would say technically like an AU condition coin. But this one is the no cents type, so it doesn't have the word cents on the reverse. Big mistake by the mint, as unscrupulous scoundrels ended up gold plating these and passing them off as half eagles. But you can see a distinct lamination, defective planchet area right there in front of Lady Liberty's mouth and nose area. And it's kind of par for the course. V nickels, Buffalo nickels, and some dates of Jefferson's all seem to have this issue of the laminations. So this one right here is sold for $29.95. Yeah, at first glance, I came across this 5 coin lot. It's the only lot for today. And I thought, well, what's so special about it? They're all like singular clips, and clips by nature are like low-end errors, But I looked at each coin, I'm like, interesting. Yeah, these are dates that you don't typically see these on, I've seen them on 44 Lincolns, like that top left one there. It's actually got 2 clips. 67 quarter, you don't see that often. That has 1 clip. The 44 war nickel, I do find clips on those as well, so that's a good one. But the other 2 coins, you got 68D 40% Kennedy with a really nice clip on there. Nothing too dramatic, but yeah, it's something you don't see every day. And what looks to be a 1957 BU Roosevelt dime with some toning does have a clip on there as well. So there you go. There's the reverse images showing a little bit of toning, some wear on a few of the coins, but overall just a really cool lot here. The 5 coins together sold for $44, and that's with 3 bids. The question is, can you flip these individually and double your money? That's kind of the big challenge of the moment. Is that something possible? And it could be. It could very well be the case. So, keep that in mind. Always look out for these banging, kind of like under the radar bulk lots, because bulk lots indicate that they're willing to accept a little bit cheaper price for them per piece. And that's where you come in, you swoop in, buy it up, and then flip them for a really nice profit. And that's how you kind of supplement your store in general, is to look for opportunities like this. No, this coin looks pretty good, but it's been cleaned. 1944 Lincoln wheat cent, looks to be a broad strike, kind of like a very minor type of broad strike, but you can see a bunch of like hairlines all crisscrossing all over the place. So this one right here sold for $34.90. You know, if it wasn't for the fact that it was clean, it probably would have sold for 50 to 60. And 1904 Indian head cent. We actually have a few back-to-back really nice cut die breaks. Here's our first one on an Indian head cent, and note the condition. Nice low grade, probably good 4 type of grade here on this one. But you can see this one has a retained cut die break because you still have a little bit of the design details that struck onto that cut. This one sold for $22.49 with 8 bids. This is something you could cherry pick out of a bulk lot of Indian head cents. I do it all the time and have found some pretty massive coins as a result for like next to nothing. 1943 Steely. Check out that cud right there at the base of Lincoln's bust. That's actually a really sizable one. And it's something that we saw quite a bit on these steel cents. And the coin, not in the greatest of shapes. It's got quite a bit of wear and some staining in areas. But how about a $52.27 sale with 30 bits? I mean, that's pretty good on that. And the final cut, 1920, nice early date. Again, a really, really well-worn example. This thing had been all over the place, but this one has a cut right there at the base of Lincoln's bust. This one right here has kind of like a ghostly, washed-out look as far as the photography. And a lot of that's attributed to the lighting just being directed kind of funny on this one. And the lens is dirty. You know, if you have like an oil smudge, it's going to give everything that you take a picture of kind of like that white halo-y effect. And, you know, it doesn't do the pictures justice for sure. So this little cut right here on the 20 sold for $42.99 with 5 bids. So for a nice low-ball coin, that's fantastic. One of my favorite varieties, I've probably found maybe 10 of these in the last 25 years. And I haven't been doing nearly as much searching lately. 1944 D over S variety. One of 2 major over mint marks. This is actually the second one of the 2. 1944 D over S. You can see the inner curl of that S coming through the D there. Really, really fantastic one. I believe this is denoted as FS 512, I believe, as an over mint mark. But nonetheless, just a really, really lights out, very dynamic variety with tons of value. This one sold for $29.85 with 11 bids. Keep in mind, this is over mint mark 2. Over mint mark 1, in that same condition like this one, probably sells for about 3 to 4x this one. So yeah, that one is definitely the one to look out for. This is a great consolation prize. Another big-time off-center strike, 1937, Lincoln wheat cent. It looks like it's just off-center, although there's this little thing right there. I don't know if that's like a something else, you know, like a double strike or something like that, but it wasn't noted in the listing. So we're just going with off-center. It's about 20%, and coin's in pretty decent shape. I'm hoping that's not a hit, and it might be another secondary minor error. This one sold for $62 with 16 bids. Very healthy sale. And we've seen quite a few of this same cut being sold here recently. 1974 D Lincoln Memorial sale cent with a cut coming off of the word trust right there. And I say that I've seen quite a few of these, and as of this taping, there's probably another 6 or 8 or so that's currently available. There's one lot of 2 coins. So I'm wondering if someone had found a hoard of these, maybe went through a bag of Lincoln cents and found quite a few of them, because we're just seeing quite a few of these. This particular one right here ended up selling for $32.25. Even though there's more supply, it doesn't diminish the type of error it is, because cuds are always going to be king in this error market. They're just really solid sellers. 2023, I mean, we were bound to show a quick little extra V market update. Here's one right here. Check out the coin. Not the most gracious, prettiest looking piece. There's what appears to be a fingerprint and spots galore on there. So it might just be the photos, but it's not the best looking example. So there's that little V mark right next to the Brenner's initials there, right to the right of the B. And yeah, I mean, people are still scooping these up. I do notice that prices are kind of dropping, receding a little bit on these things. And, this one sold for $66.25 with 3 bids, and that's kind of like on the high end for a raw one. We've been seeing a lot of like $30, $40 sales of this coin. So we'll see how much more this one has to go as far as downward movement. But I can imagine that we're still going to see some retracement on this one. And the final coin for this weekend's PCMR, another blind bat. Didn't we end the last PCMR on a blind bat strike through? We have yet again another one, ladies and gentlemen. These are not particularly rare, but they are big money every time you come across one. So notice Mama Bat's like suffering here with just an amazingly large strike through event. And you can see little feeder finger marks there as well in the fields. They all kind of go hand in hand. This is one of the big chases even to this day. The coin is already 3 years old, so even 3 years later, still being found. They're obviously not going to be gemmies at this point, but a really great find. This one sold for $155.25. Bigger strike throughs and much nicer mint state choice gem examples will generally run between $500 to $1,000. Yeah, I'm stuttering because it's still a crazy amount of money. But that's going to go ahead and do it for this one. Keep in mind, the video is for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. Collect responsibly and have fun in the hobby. Get your education up, and you can make it whatever you want it to be. Okay, that's it. I'm Sean with BlueRidgeSilverhound. Thank you so much for tuning in into my video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, but also find me as well on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all over the place. I'm also on the live coin Q&A channel as well as a contributor. And yeah, have fun. Best of luck. Hopefully you guys find some of these same coins that everybody else is capitalizing and cashing in on. But we're going to go ahead and leave it from there. All right, you guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next time.